how has the Israeli military's presence and aggression on Bethlehem influenced the security situation for the Palestinian residents at the moment?
In fact, Beit Lahem is as targeted as Jerusalem is. The Israeli project for establishing Greater Jerusalem, of course, incorporates some territories in Bethlehem. In fact, Bethlehem has 22 Israeli settlements and inhabited by 42,000 Israeli settlers. In fact, ever since the 7th of October 2023, the Israeli occupation forces has blocked all streets connecting the center of the governorate to its suburb and rural areas to the east side. And so the daily incursions carried out by the Israeli army, and of course there are daily detentions of citizens and demolishing of houses and agricultural and industrial facilities across the governorate of Bethlehem. These are daily practices that we are afflicted by, carried out continuously by the Israeli occupation forces ever since the 7th of October. In fact, the entire security condition in Palestine is a tricky one, but we're trying as much as we can to work with what we have and to help maintain peace and security in Bethlehem.
Let me ask you, sir, in what ways has the incursion into Bethlehem affected the local economy and businesses?
Bethlehem is a governorate that predicates fundamentally on tourism. And Bethlehem nowadays doesn't have any tourists because we, of course, receive a lot of tourists, pilgrim tourists, that are trying to visit the Church of Al-Mahd. And the Israeli occupation forces have been controlling all things Palestinian, the water grids, the electricity grids, the crossings, the movement of civilians between the urban side of the governorate and its rural outskirts. Of course, the Israelis are doing daily incursions into Bethlehem and its villages, and there is an unprecedented campaign to demolish a lot of institutions and houses, whether to the rural or to the eastern rural side or the western rural side. The economic condition, of course, is a strained one because, as I said, Bethlehem relies fundamentally on tourism, and we don't receive any tourist pilgrims right now. And as well, the salaries of the Palestinian employees are not being provided.
Mr. Mohammed, let me move on to another question and ask you, how do you think Bethlehem is coping with its second Christmas this year amid the ongoing war in Gaza?
In fact, yesterday we had the Latin feast in Western churches, and the Palestinians tried to celebrate as much as they could by just establishing some religious rituals. And of course, Bethlehem is part and parcel of Palestine, and so the population from Rafah to Jenin are actually not really celebrating. They are just establishing their rituals. And this is a message to the world that has celebrated yesterday the birth of Jesus Christ. In the midst of these massacres taking place continuously and without respite in Palestine. You know, the mosques, the bodies of worship, the schools, the infrastructure, all Palestinian presence is being targeted. All these things are being targeted without respite by the Israelis. And
can I also ask you, sir, how, and share with us to what extent, how have the local hospitals and healthcare facilities in Bethlehem impacted by the Israeli military's operations so far?
In fact, all hospitals and the Palestinian community in Bethlehem is of course targeted continuously by the Israeli occupation forces. It's not just the hospitals. And of course, this put a toll on the citizens economically. The Palestinian citizen right now and the Christian family right now is not able to cater for the needs of its individuals, you know, during these festive seasons, supposedly. The situation is bleak, and the economic stature of Palestine is ever deteriorating. You know, in any country, when there is a war going on, this, of course, impacts its economic condition negatively. And we are working in such complex situations, and the practices of the Israeli occupation forces just keep on making our life harder and our tasks more and more complex and complicated.
And what do you think, in your opinion, sir, are the key positive indicators and the main obstacles in the Gaza ceasefire negotiations, and how do the ongoing Israeli military operations in Gaza and the West Bank impact the process, do you think?
It seems that the Netanyahu government doesn't really want to execute on an actual ceasefire, and it seems that the strategic goal of the Israeli occupation forces is to displace the population all the way to the West Bank or to Sinai, or to Jordan or to Sinai. In fact, the Israeli occupation forces have been systematically carrying out massacres in order to displace the population from the Gaza Strip. In fact, this Israeli government does not want to execute on an actual ceasefire, because the ceasefire is going to jeopardize the position of Netanyahu. And Egypt right now and other countries are trying to engage in brokerage to release more hostages. But right now the Israeli government is accusing Hamas of just going back on their word, and the Egyptian side, in fact, by an official stated that Hamas didn't go back on its word, and it was the Israeli government that actually manipulated and betrayed its promise.
And that was from Bethlehem. That was the Bethlehem governor, Mr. Mohammed Taha Hassan. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. And now we're back to you again, Hani.